Tonight, with just 5 days to go, Vice President Harris with renewed urgency, targeting key Western battlegrounds, Arizona and Nevada.
We all know who Donald Trump is. This is someone who is unstable, obsessed with revenge.
And now attacking former President Trump for these comments about women overnight.
I want to protect the women of our country. I want to protect the women. Sir, please don't say that. Why? They said, we think it's very inappropriate for you to say. I said, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm going to protect them. I'm going to protect them from migrants coming in. I'm going to protect them from foreign countries that want to hit us with missiles.
Late today, the vice president speaking exclusively with NBC's Yamiche Alcindor.
Former President Donald Trump has said that he would be a protector of women, whether they like it or not. What do you make of that, and how does that contrast with your views on women and their rights and needs?
Well, I'll just speak on behalf of myself, but also the Americans that I speak with every day around our country, regardless of their gender, which is the majority of Americans believe that women are intelligent enough and should have and be respected for their agency to make decisions for themselves about what is in their best interest, and not have their government, and certainly not Donald Trump, telling them what to do. And his latest comment is just the most recent in a series of examples that we have seen from him in his words and deeds about how he devalues the ability of women to have the choice and the freedom to make decisions about their own body.
Day one, what's your first executive action?
Well, my first priority, which will be probably the package of bills, is about bringing down the cost of living. So it's about housing, it's about childcare, it's about what we need to do to deal with grocery prices.
Tonight, NBA superstar LeBron James is endorsing Harris, posting a video and writing, "The choice is clear to me." But a former NBA owner, now a top Harris surrogate, billionaire Mark Cuban, is facing backlash after he answered why he thought Trump had not asked Nikki Haley to campaign with him.
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple. They're intimidating to him.
That attack by Mark Cuban was an attack on tens of millions of hardworking women across this country who proudly support President Trump.
An NBC News poll this month suggests a huge gender gap, women supporting Harris by 14 points. But she's struggling with men who are backing Trump by 16 points. Outside her rally today in Reno, we met Harris supporters Jenny Hildebrand and Kate Becker, who say they're deeply offended by Trump's comments.
I don't trust anything out of his mouth, but I don't think he really agrees with women or supports women or respects women, given his track history and what he's done.
It's ironic that he wants to support women on his terms and not ours.
In the race's critical final days, Democrats are trying to build on that support among women with a new ad voiced by Julia Roberts, urging women whose male partners back Trump to secretly vote for Harris.
You can vote any way you want, and no one will ever know.
Trump supporter Patricia Montez finds that idea insulting and says the former president's comments last night don't bother her.
He's looking out for women's best interests. He's not going to force somebody into anything. It's just sometimes the way he talks. They call it sometimes locker room talk or guy talk. It's just talk.
And Gabe, you're there at the vice president's rally in Reno. We can assume she'll keep the focus on Nevada later tonight?
Yes, Lester, after the event here, she has another late-night rally in Las Vegas with Jennifer Lopez, and then she's expected to hit 5 battleground states over the next few days, including closing out her campaign in must-win Pennsylvania with a large rally in Philadelphia. Lester?
All right, Gabe Gutierrez starting us off. Thanks. Former President Trump also in the West tonight, making a pitch to Latino voters who will play a critical role in several swing states. Garrett Haake is covering the Trump campaign.
Tonight, former President Trump making one last in-person pitch out west.
Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?
Including a surprising stop in New Mexico, which hasn't voted Republican in 20 years.
Under Kamala, New Mexico has seen millions of people pour across your section of the southern border.
Latinos make up half of New Mexico's population, and Trump's support among Latino men makes it a tempting last-minute target. His 2 other stops today, Arizona and Nevada, where new polls show Harris leading among Latinos. But in Arizona, she's running 6 points behind President Biden's margin with Latinos in 2020. And in Nevada, she's 25 points behind. We met Michael Arevalo, who's voting for Trump.
But I do eventually want to own my own house, and the rate it's at right now, I just don't see it happening within the next 4 years if Kamala does end up being president.
Mariam Artiaga supports Harris.
100% agree with everything that she's said about the community, women's rights, education, and immigration.
Then there's the key issue of housing. Nevada's Clark County, where Trump campaigns today, is among the toughest in the nation to buy a home, according to an NBC News analysis. The median home price now up to $452,000, among the top 15% of county prices nationwide. The vice president has proposed $25,000 in government down payment assistance.
I will fight to help first-time home buyers with your down payment.
J.D. Vance mocking that proposal today.
Kamala Harris is trying to pass out free money to cover over the fact that her own policies are why housing is so expensive.
All as Trump is going after Harris over President Biden's comments appearing to call Trump supporters garbage.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable.
The president says he was not talking about all Trump supporters. Trump, after riding in a garbage truck,
250 million Americans are not garbage.
Overnight wearing a sanitation worker's vest in Wisconsin.
You can't lead America if you don't love Americans. That's true.
And Garrett, you have some new reporting on the Trump campaign strategy going down the stretch here.
Yeah, Lester, the Trump campaign is increasingly confident in their position nationally and will spend most of these last few days focused on those so-called blue wall states, including a final stop in Grand Rapids the night before the election, the same place Trump ended his 2016 and 2020 campaigns. Lester?
Right. Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.